and in general disrupted the entire region. It's not clear who exactly benefited from that. Even the migrants themselves, certainly the countries they came from, were weaker as a result. But there was one country in Europe that decided not to play along with this disaster. It's not coincidental that that country is hated by the same ideologues in Washington who pushed the Iraq War. The same people who helped cause this problem are angry at a man called Viktor Orbán, who's the democratically elected prime minister of Hungary. And back in 2015, he decided, no, we're not going to allow our nation of 10 million people to be changed forever by people we didn't invite in and who are coming here illegally. And so he put a stop to it. In the face of great international pressure, they called him all kinds of names. The EU called what he was doing illegal. But he did it anyway. He built a wall. And today we went to see it. We took a military helicopter down to the southern border of Hungary, right where it borders Serbia. And we looked at this Hungarian wall that has effectively ended illegal migration into the country. And we found a couple of things. For one, it's not actually a wall. It's a chain link fence. It's very simple. And if you sat for the last 5 years and listened to American experts debate how it's impossible to stop immigration with the wall, no matter how high tech, you learned that that's a complete lie. All you need is the will to do it. So we went down there and we watched that wall, and we noticed a couple of things. For one thing, unlike every border we've ever visited around the world, it was perfectly clean and orderly. There weren't piles of trash. There weren't scenes of human suffering, because it was under control. Chaos creates humanitarian disasters. That's true everywhere around the world, and it's true particularly on borders, and particularly on our southern border, where there are people suffering and dying because the Biden administration has abetted, in fact, welcomed chaos. But we didn't see that today. We saw order and clarity. You are not allowed to come to Hungary illegally. While we were on the border today, the Serbian border in Hungary, we saw two people who attempted to come illegally. Both of them turned out to be from Syria. And we watched what happened when they were apprehended. It was a very straightforward process, so straightforward that it was a little confusing to watch. They came over the border. They were immediately picked up by Border Patrol. They were brought to a detainment area. They were treated politely. We were there the whole time. They were photographed. They were searched for weapons on the outside of their clothing. And then they were escorted through a door, and we followed them. We thought they're going to further processing or to meet with their attorneys or some Soros-funded NGO, and then moved into some other part of Hungary to stay there forever, at least a few years. But that's not what it was. That door was the border. And as we followed them through, they were escorted back where they came from, into Serbia, and they can apply for asylum somewhere else. That straightforward immigration policy, no, you're not allowed to come here illegally, I'm sorry, this is a real country, we have laws, works. And it doesn't require a GDP the size of the United States' GDP. It doesn't require high-tech walls or guns or surveillance equipment. All it requires is the will to do it. And as we watched this happen, we said to a Hungarian minister who was standing there, it's hard to believe that's your policy? When you come here illegally, you're just escorted out politely? And he said, quote, we're a serious country. How embarrassing to be an American in a conversation like that, to realize the greatest country on earth is not on some level a serious country because it allows the chaos that inevitably occurs, the human suffering that inevitably occurs when you open your borders. By the way, we couldn't help but notice that on the Serbian side of the border, where the migrants are massing, trash and filth everywhere. Boy, does that tell you a lot. So it was a deeply revealing moment, and we're going to have more. We've had a number of them here in Hungary. It's a small country with a lot of lessons for the rest of us. And one last thing. Because the example of Hungary is so powerful, not just in Europe, but to the world, to the entire world, not simply the West, what you can do with a relatively small economy and not many people, if you're just serious about keeping your nation from being destroyed, because the lessons are so obvious and there's such a clear refutation to the policies we currently have and the people who instituted those policies, Hungary and its government have been ruthlessly attacked and unfairly attacked. It's authoritarian. They're fascists. There are many lies being told right now. That may be the greatest of all. The last Hungarian revolution was less contested than our last revolution, and probably more transparent. That's true. It's not an endorsement of anybody, but that's true. So ignore the lawyers, the liars rather, and the lawyers, and judge for yourself. Is it working in Hungary or not? We think that it is.